Hello everyone, welcome to Rethinking The X-Files. This is Season 10, Episode 4, I do believe, out of 6. Very short season. My name is Elton. This is Scott from America and everything. And
hello everyone.
There you go. And we're here to talk about the Season 10, Episode 4. I'm getting all confused with numbers already, Christ. It's called Home Again.
Yes.
Hasn't aired over in the UK yet, strangely enough. Oh, this is doing my head in. I'm glad I'm pirating it. Sod it. I don't care anymore. If they I'll be buying the DVDs when it comes out, but at the moment, screw Channel 5 for balls in it right up. Idiots.
It's strange that they don't try to synchronize it. Just from the spoiler aspect of it, is there something currently on local television for you that they don't want to preempt?
There was, yes. It was Big Brother. I think they had a couple of episodes of Big Brother left, and Channel 5 bought it with the intention of, people will watch it, it's the X-Files. Who wouldn't want to watch it? And it turns out that people do want to watch it pretty much straight away. Especially in this day and age where you can download everything, and Game of Thrones is on pretty much the same sort of time. Walking Dead is on, and Channel 5 just turned around and didn't realise that I think they're living in 1997 still, where they think the internet doesn't exist.
Well, for you to say it's Big Brother also, I mean, for an American TV fan, and even one whose household briefly did really enjoy the American version of Big Brother. I mean, it's crap. It's on constantly. It's on. They have through Showtime. You can get the all hours or late night feed where you hope to catch nipple and naughty language and things like that.
Once again, we've got the internet.
Yes. So, but I mean, it's just funny that would hardly be something that would preempt something like this in the U.S. But it is just not that popular a show.
Yeah. Oh well.
So it's good you have your means, or at least you can visualize and imagine very well. So you're able to piece together what's going on in the episodes, because you certainly wouldn't watch them illegally.
Oh! Did I say I pirated them? I don't actually mean that. That was a joke and everything.
Yes.
Why would I want to do that?
No. You were briefly in the United States in your dreams and watched an episode. Came here just to watch the episode, turned around and flew back.
Yeah, like everyone.
Yes. So anyway, we are on episode 4. And we're moving toward the end. And I guess I've been watching kind of in sync with these podcasts, so it is done now in the United States. I think they have aired all 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And so where are you locally? They're at episode 2 so far, or?
No, episode 3 aired this Monday. Sorry. Okay. And I popped in on my parents' house yesterday, I think it was, and my dad didn't like that episode. I think his words were, "That was a pile of crap," which I was quite impressed with, because he got very angry with it. I tried to explain that they do the comedy episodes every now and again, and it was a case of, well, I didn't want a comedy episode. I wanted the X-Files. And, it didn't go down very well, let's say.
I'm finding, as I look on Reddit, and the reviews are all gushy. If you look at the professional reviewers, they're pretty much all, it's a love fest, and how great it is the episode's back, and this is a great throwback to this old season, and it's hard to find an actual review in like a newspaper or magazine or a blog that does much more than just say one episode is better than another. it's generally a lot of love. But when you look in comments on Reddit, or as you talk to people, I think there's a lot of people who love it, and there are people becoming increasingly comfortable having an opinion, like your dad, like that they're feeling comfortable. It's okay to want something,
Yeah.
especially with only 6 episodes. If I remember right, we had was it Anthony who commented on the Facebook page that he wouldn't have minded the silliness of episode 3 if it was a 20 episode season,
Mm-hmm.
but for 6 episodes, it's not that it was a waste. The implication was he would have rather had a different style episode for having so few.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
That's fine. I've got no problems with that whatsoever. Okay, so this episode, I think I'll just read. Hang on, let me just get the synopsis very, very quickly, if that's all right.
Sure.
It says, Mulder and Scully are set to investigate the murder of a city official when it seems no human could have committed. Meanwhile, Scully copes with a personal tragedy which brings up old feelings about her and Mulder's child, William. We've got 2 strong storylines running through this episode. What were your first impressions of it?
I liked the more serious tone of it. I missed the cleverness, though, of last episode. I thought there were a lot of good redirects. It was the counterintuitiveness of the lizard turning into a man versus man turning into a lizard. This was much more straightforward, and I actually felt like I could feel the hands of a different writer on this episode.
Yeah.
The characters were painted a little bit differently. It felt like we had a different writer than we had in some of the previous episodes. How about you? What did you think? What were your first impressions?
Oh, first impressions. This was as close as I'm going to get the Slender Man episode. I didn't know that this was turning up, but this was as close as we're going to get. Because it is a tulpa, which the Slender Man is. And I was very happy to be back in the spooky kind of world. Mm-hmm. I really like the spooky vibe of that sort of stuff. But I enjoyed last week's, but was glad to get that out of the way and back into the darkness, walking through corridors with torches blazing down them. And yeah, it was a massive callback to how it was. I felt very comfortable once again in this.
Yeah, I liked the spookiness of it. I did not like just how jerky everybody was. Like, everybody was obnoxious in the episode. Yeah. From the side characters to the star characters. I mean, everybody just seemed irritable and flippant, but not in the comedy sort of way. It was just kind of like if you were standing next to them, you would turn around and smack them with the back of your hand. You're like, shut up.
Yeah.
Sit there and do your work. Nobody asked you.
Yeah, everyone very snarky through it.
Yes. Yeah, and it was kind of without explanation. I mean, granted, Scully was going through some very serious things, but just overall, it was a very unlikable group of supporting characters, except for the artist. I liked him.
Yeah.
A little preachy, I thought, but as he delivered the hard-on message of how to treat the homeless well. But still, I thought it was good casting. I thought he was a likable character. But yeah, the victims, there was not a single victim that I felt for.
Yeah. I quite liked his preachiness in it, though.
Yeah.
The artist. I thought he was nicely balanced because he didn't get much airtime on it. And it was pretty much, we was introduced to him after half hour of the story, maybe even a little more. And he had a lot of peddling to do to get up to our interests.
Yeah, and I think he needed to be he needed to say so much to really advance the story or to at least explain the plot enough to get us to a resolution, because most of the first 30 minutes before he appeared was just carnage or the Scully plot line.
Yeah.
You were left without much of an explanation of who was doing it or why. On a rewatch, there were some clever things to catch. I had at first misunderstood the way in which the Trashman appeared. So the first time we see him, the garbage truck rolls up, right? And he crawls out of the back.
Yeah, we don't actually see him crawl out the back the very first time we see him.
Right, he appears behind it, but he crawls back in.
Yeah. When
he's done. But yeah, the truck pulls away and he's just standing there. I like that. That was a tense moment, a spooky moment.
Yeah.
And then we have the painting on the mural on the side of a building.
Yes.
Now I'll ask your thoughts on the timeline for the first murder. Okay. Mulder says the painting is not there when the murder happens. It appears the morning after.
Yes.
And is that do you feel that that's this, like, there's no painting? We know there's no painting at the time of the murder, and then there's a painting the next morning. Do you think the painting was up earlier in the day before the murder?
Oh, as if he jumped out.
Because I forget, it's the second or third attack, the one that happens in the studio in the loft.
Yeah.
Like at first, I didn't realize where the Trashman came from. He says, "Don't turn the painting around." I thought he turned the painting around. I didn't realize he's meant to have come out of the painting, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So then I'm thinking that Mulder was wrong, that the mural was up all along, and he comes out of the painting at night. And it was up before the first murder. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I had a thought. I thought he just rolled up in the rubbish truck. But
that's what I thought too at first. But then I was trying to reconcile the murder in the studio, because that's really the only one where we don't have the garbage truck appear.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right there. The painting must have been up. I think it was more like a warning of what is going on, and this creation is looking down upon them.
Well, that's what the artist said. He wanted it to be a warning and to frighten them. He said, and maybe it's me. So there's, I don't mean to jump around too much, but when we meet the artist, they walk through the catacombs, and what seems like a mummy kind of comes falling on them, and there's a Band-Aid Man sculpture in the room with the artist.
Yep.
And he speaks about it in a number of ways. Like, on one level, it sounds like he's saying there is one, that this is the creation, and he wakes up and he walks around. Or then other times he talks about how they fade in time, implying there's several of them. So I thought, well, maybe that was just the next one.
I would have thought that would have just been his art that fades in time, so he could stencil or paint it up wherever he wishes.
So what was the thing that fell on them, on Scully and Mulder as they're walking through?
Well, that was one of his creations.
Like an earlier version that did not come to life. Only the Band-Aid Nose Man.
Well, there was other things walking around, weren't there? Underneath, in that place where they had all the torches.
It sounded like it.
That's what I got the impression of. He's creating art, and somehow he's bringing it to life.
He's so passionate about it. He meditates. He creates a golem, essentially, as he says.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what we saw walking around underneath in the Trashman's studio, I suppose. Mm-hmm. He's created these life forms, and then he would express himself through the art. Now, I thought his clay thing wasn't would it be the actual thing? I thought the painting was coming to life and then jumping in the trash cart, then driving around to the places. And because in the studio you didn't have the trash cart, it came out the painting and killed the two guys.
Right. So you think there's multiple? You think there's one golem walking about?
I think there's
awakening and going back to slumber at some point.
The murders that we saw in this episode were done by one painting.
Okay.
Or one trash man.
One manifestation.
Yeah. And the ones that we saw walking around before we got to the artist, they were also his interpretations of art, but they'd just been lost where he'd created them. They were just walking around aimlessly. That's why he's hiding in the corner so they can't see him.
He says that they can't see me, they can't hurt me.
Yeah.
See, now, that makes sense. And I did get the sense from the narrative that there was something special about the one. Like he was talking about, he did the art to scare the people, and but this one, the Band-Aid Man, was different. There was something, and he started talking more in a singular tense. He misinterpreted that feeling as violence, and he was only trying to act on it. So then I started to think that they call it a thought form manifestation, so that it can almost like a ghost. And they do say it's like it's both here and not here at the same time, but that it can appear in almost any version of it. That the figure in the room could awaken at some point, or it could come out of any one of the paintings.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a similar trait of a character in other stories, and I can't think of, like, I've seen that before, that any painting of Garfield the cat could come alive and be Garfield.
Oh my god, that would be terrifying.
But I think it's that, like, that's all one entity, and it can appear anywhere that its figure is.
Yeah. See, that's where I was. As soon as I saw it, I thought, okay, that's as close as I'm going to get to the Slender Man. Now, Slender Man is a tulpa, like a thought creation. It was created on the internet, and because people have read so many stories and so many fan fictions about the Slender Man and the supposed stories that go along with him, because people are gullible and they read far too much into it and they drink too much Red Bull at night when they're reading these things, they manifest these things and visions in their heads, and then they see something in the corner of their eye, and then they think, oh, it's Slender Man, and then the story grows and it builds and builds and builds, and then you get people like the poor girls that were kind of brainwashed themselves into thinking that if they killed their friends, then the Slender Man would forgive them or appear or something like that. And that's how it creates. And then you get this myth. And then in a couple of years' time, you're going to have kids at school going, do you remember them girls that killed that other little girl? And the Slender Man come up. Yeah. Oh, let's try it. And then they drink too much Red Bull and then they go off and do it. Not saying that Red Bull is the Slender Man bringer. I wouldn't say that. It's a lovely drink. Don't want to get into trouble from them. But that's the same sort of thing that we have here. We have the art coming to life, but is it because of, has he used magical paint? I don't think so. I think it's more a manifestation of his thoughts and feelings. There's a big vibe going through this episode of you are responsible. Yes, and Scully kind of wakes from a stupor and blasts him and tells him that everything he said is all well and good. His intentions were more pure, but he originated the creature and therefore he's responsible. Yeah. And I was lost on me for this episode what I assume was supposed to be a connection between her and William and her mom. And clearly she was having a lot of issues with her own child, William. Like the phone would ring and caller ID would have William, and then it would say Mulder, or it would say William or William Jr., or like it was like
he was weighing on her mind. She had a lot of flashbacks to the birth, the giving away, telling Fox she gave away the baby.
Yeah.
And the implication, almost that everything she was saying to the artist, like in a lot of other shows, you would then say, well, she's really talking about herself. But I didn't see that connection, and I don't know if I'm missing something because of the previous 9 seasons. Is there like a tone of she did it to herself, not to make herself pregnant, but I mean that she put herself in a certain situation, or she's responsible for something that she's been dodging. She seemed to feel very laden with guilt.
I think, yeah, we've got that from the last 4 episodes, that she has got a lot of guilt. You can see that passed on to, I suppose, like the vision of the phone, where the phone rang first and it came up with William.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that her thinking, oh, my son? But then the next time we see it, which is, what, half a second later?
Yeah.
It says William Scully Jr.
Right.
Now, what I'm trying to work out, I think William Scully Jr. would be...
That'd be the brother.
That would be the brother, and then, yeah, then her son is named after... I'm assuming her dad was named William.
Right.
We're going to get lots of
I believe
feedback
it is.
on that, yeah. So, is that her picturing what she wants to see on the phone first? Like, William, I really want to... Because this vibe is running through the whole series. I didn't realise... It's kind of blindsided me that the story of their kid, really, is the main story of these 6 episodes. It's not aliens. It's not the oil or anything like that. It's not the monster of the week popping up here, there and everywhere. It's not the 2 kids that we saw in episode 2. It's the family orientation. It's her...
her coming to terms with that choice.
Trying to get over it, and, well, maybe not trying to get over it. Like you said, yeah, coming to terms with it is a far better way of saying it. Her realisation that she really has lost her son.
Which, I don't know the whole story of it either. Is there a reason that she would not be taking advantage of the resources to find her son over the last 15 years? Is there some sort of condition when she gave him up, like you were to stay away for forever?
I don't know. I think it's more that she's probably given up for adoption, and so I've never been in that situation, so it's really hard to dive into it. But
I mean, she's in the FBI. They have all these resources. It's, again, on another show, she'd be pining away at the computer. Oh, there'd
be lots of brown paper bags passed between people that know how to do stuff on computers. No, I think she's left the FBI, and then it's just something that happened to her. Something, and the X-Files being reawoken has also brought all these memories flooding back, and now that is the main source and goal of her life at the moment, because everything's revolving around her son that we haven't really seen in all of these episodes with her.
And I don't get the sense she wants to be reunited. I don't even get the sense she necessarily wants to know how he's doing or would change things. It's more just a matter of she's having a hard time. She's got to get over the guilt, but like she's cut off the appendage. It's gone. She's trying to shake those phantom limb feelings at the moment. And
yeah, do you reckon her mum reawakened that sort of thing in her, where her mum? It was said that her mum cried out for her estranged son.
Right, the second brother, the third child.
Yeah, and so.
And he was a jerk too. Like, I don't understand. Everybody is just so obnoxious. They have him on the phone. What do you want me to say? Well, mom's in a coma. Well, what should I say? Anything. Just say anything, Chris.
Yeah, but I thought that Scully saw herself in that position. She didn't want to get to that position on her deathbed, crying out for her son and not being able to speak to him. And so that was stirring memories and thoughts in her to not be in that similar sort of situation.
Yeah, so you get to the closing scenes where she says to Mulder, "I know why Mom called for Chris instead of William or I," and she says it's because I took it as she wasn't worried about me. She wasn't worried about William. She's worried about this third child that she hasn't seen forever. So her final wish was kind of, I want to know he's okay before I go, because I haven't had an update in years. So that makes more sense to me now, that if, again, not that Scully wants her child back in her life. She doesn't want to die wondering. She just wants to know he's okay. She wants to know it wasn't a mistake and that she didn't put him in a bad situation.
Yeah.
Now, there's the quarter on the necklace. Have you heard any discussion or thought any bit about that? That the mom has something that Scully can't reconcile, why it's so important to her?
No, I haven't seen anything about that, no.
I have, and I believe it's overanalyzed a bit. Apparently, the writer of the episode experienced something similar when his own mother passed away. That as they're going through the things at the end, he found a number of belongings, and one of them I think was like a quarter or coin or something that he couldn't figure out why his mother was keeping it.
Okay.
And similar to what Scully wonders, is it the year? Why is this coin so important? I don't think it's meant to mean anything. The couple things I read is the coin itself is not symbolic of a character or an event. It's more that coupled with the rewriting of the living will is just kind of a sign that, or a reflection of the writer's own experiences, how there were things he just didn't know, things he thought he knew about his mother and her wishes and her interests and priorities, and there on the deathbed, he was learning new things, and I think that kind of strengthens the sense of wanting closure at the last minute. Scully's realizing, she thought she knew her mom really well and what was mattered and what her wishes were. She doesn't know that, and she doesn't know anything about her own son.
Well, I think that's the internet's right to dig into something that really isn't there. I like that the writers would put their own experiences in there and then not explain it. Why should that be explained? Why does that have to be explained?
Well, and it does have a meaning too. It is symbolic of something not necessarily as overt as a year or who gave it to the mother, so much as it's representative of just as close as they are. They don't know each other perfectly.
Yeah. I quite like that being in there.
Yeah.
On the first watch of this episode, though, I felt I didn't really grasp the meaning of the heart attack with her mother and all the stuff that was going through. I was more concentrated on the monster of the week, and that Scully's story really took a sideline. But on the second viewing of it really sprang out at me that this is far more important than what I'm actually giving its dues. And there was also little bits on these other episodes that we've seen. I suppose they're bringing the nowadays technology and thought processes of the media and stuff like that into these episodes, which I really like, but they're not shoehorning it in an awkward way or anything like that. Right. I'll just run you through a little list of what I've written down. In the first episode, we see Mulder working on the YouTube, I think it is, and they always mention the YouTube and the apps the cameras, the internet, and all that. It's part of our life, and so it is not. If they turn around and said, "Oh yeah, let's Facebook and let's Twitter and let's Instagram this and let's do that," I'd feel a bit uncomfortable. But saying an app, it just gives it a nice big a general focus of, yes, okay, we know what an app is. That's fine. You don't have to name the name of the app. Mm-hmm. What else was there? There was in the second episode, I think it was that they mentioned why does someone have to hide their sexual prowess in 2016? It was just just before they nearly knocked over the guy, and they were going downtown, and I think they were saying it was a seedy part of town, or no, he had a second apartment, didn't he?
Yeah. And
they didn't really understand why that someone should hide their sexuality because it's 2016. Mm-hmm. It wasn't shoehorned. It was just nicely placed, and it was a comment that we could give and take, and then we've had it. That's fine. It places us in time as well. The transgender prostitute as well. Mm-hmm. It was notified that we saw it happen, and then it was questioned by the lizard man, and then it was just no, look, it's fine. Look, don't worry yourself about it. It's really talking to the viewers like, look, don't worry. You should. This is nothing to do with you, so you really shouldn't worry about it. Yeah. And it was good. And in this episode, we had the organ donations. Now, mm-hmm. in the 90s, yes, organ donations were there. But I think it's becoming more and more apparent that a lot more people have organ donations. And it is I hope it's more of a way of life of you're more expected to give your organs away than not give your organs away.
Or even the living will aspect. That's a more common concern, I think, these days than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. I just like the relevance of it. Yeah. I like the way they're doing it. It's very subtle. It's not, oh, look at me with my VCR camcorder that I can show. Oh, look, it's got a flippy vision thing on it. Woo!
And they're not making them like they just teleported 10 years into the future and, wow, look at this phone, and like they're unfamiliar with the technology and culture. They're just, it's natural.
Yeah. See, Mulder mucking around with the camera phone, it was a bit slapping of that, really, but it was done in such a way that it worked for me. Because,
you know what that... Oh, God. Sorry.
Well, I think if I was maybe 10, 15 years older than what I am now, I'd probably be mishandling a phone like that.
Well, let's take the episodes in the order they're originally filmed and intended to be aired. And now you have him goofing around with the phone in episode 3. And what would have been episode 5, we have him taking the phone in Founder's Mutation and using the fingerprint to unlock it and going through the contacts.
Yeah,
he's much more proficient 2 episodes later.
Yeah, that's true.
So this was filmed to be the second episode when it was originally done.
Oh, well, this one tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it would have been the struggle, then this, then the monster, the were-monster, one we haven't seen, and then Founder's Mutation. So I don't know if this would have worked as well as the second episode. Thinking of it that way, you're getting the hints of the guilt. We have a lot more mother issues later.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of the build-up of it, isn't it? Especially the way this episode ends as well. With them sitting on a tree, fallen tree, on a beach somewhere.
It doesn't really well, I don't know if it makes more sense either. Like, we had talked after the first episode going into Founder's Mutation about, again, that gap of time. So they open the X-Files, then all of a sudden, a week, 3 weeks, a month has gone by, and they're out on the job solving cases. This has that opening bit where the local detective says, hey, I called you guys because you have a reputation for dealing with weird stuff. So maybe that is a more natural first case for them, kind of getting back into the flow of things.
That's why the first shot of them in this episode was FBI badges over their faces. If this was to be the second episode, they weren't part of the FBI at the end. They were just rejoining the FBI at the end of the first episode. Them showing the badges full in your face, covering their faces, that means bang, we're straight back into the FBI.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that makes more sense. Because it did seem slightly out of place this time round.
And even in that Founders Mutation episode, they're going through the bureaucracy. It's still, there's so many steps involved in getting things going. They're able to buy time to keep their investigation going in Founders Mutation, because it's still still getting their feet moving and getting rolling there. And we're not even at that point yet.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you think that this episode would have been a bit too heavy after the first episode?
I do. I think. Well, I don't know, because it feels heavy coming after last week's, but I don't know that it would have felt so heavy. Just kind of coming up as it did.
Okay, with dramatics in these episodes, episode 2 was a lot lighter than this episode. I feel, to balance out the season as a whole, bearing in mind I don't know what's happening in episode 5 or 6.
Right.
If it could have become top heavy with the massive info dump that we had in the first episode, then this with a man ripping limbs, ripping people in half, really, like zips.
Yeah.
And that would have been a very dark-natured episode to have straight away. It might have warned people off of actually watching anything else. And I think having a heavy episode and then the comedy episode straight after, it might have been too much. Might have been they were too juxtaposed.
And I'm also thinking, though, that massive information dump that made me think we were going to have a lot more mythology going on, it really was, in hindsight, just brought everyone up to speed. It explained the gap, basically.
Yeah.
And what they've been doing lately, and where their spirits were at, and it kind of reignites the interest. But it's turned out not to be information that's been used in the subsequent episodes, so it felt like a lot, and almost like I would equate it to being in a class where you're taking a lot of notes in anticipation of a test, and then as you get closer to the test, you say, you know what, none of that, I didn't need that after all. I didn't need to stress out so much at the beginning.
Yeah.
Good to know, but yeah.
In the chat room, we have Doreen once again. She's keeping the chat room alive at the moment, which is awesome. She does say new viewers might have been put off by too much mythology. I think that is a possibility.
I think it would have depended on what it was going to be. The fact that they basically threw out the old mythology and started with a simpler, it's the government, they might have been able to get away with that easier. But yeah, if it was something where you had to know this character and these connections and be familiar with all the past seasons, that certainly would have been overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I know I went into it, that first episode, thinking I was being brought up to speed, and I felt satisfied with how that went. Like, I felt like I knew what I needed to know. Even the man in the first episode that Mulder meets with, how it turned out to be the doctor from Roswell as opposed to a character from season 4 that I was supposed to know but didn't know.
Yeah.
That worked for me.
Yeah. Okay, right, we've got, 20 minutes left, I suppose? So,
Sure.
Any favourite bits on this episode?
I I liked little elements of it. I liked the way the artist uh, modified his sculpture, made a smiley face head at the end.
Oh, do you not think that would have been more creepy, having that thing following you around?
I took that to mean like he was trying to give it a different emotion
Yeah.
to feed off of. But yeah, that would have been creepy. It would have been like Jack in the Box clown chasing you down.
Big acid house face just following you around. That's the creepiest thing in the world.
One thing though that did throw me, we see Mulder looking into the first murder, and he notices the camera, and they takes out. They're looking at the first camera's taken out, second camera's taken out, third camera's taken out, which in the first watch it makes you think this is a much more intelligent, sneaky, well thought out murder.
Yeah.
It's someone's trying to conceal their identity, and ultimately I don't know why the cameras were taken out. Like, it doesn't seem like the kind of thing the Trashman was trying to hide who he was or conceal anything. It was an unusual choice for them to go with that. I don't know if it's just the result of having edited something out and it was made to feel more important than it was, but it was a little bit of a misdirect for me. It was fine though.
I think it's more of a trope that would come up on these sort of things. Oh, look, camera 1's out, it fuzzes. Camera 2's out, oh, it fuzzes. It's a kind of thing that they do, though, isn't it? Just building up the tension. And it sends Mulder off in a totally different direction. He's not actually looking for a painting or a trashy man walking around.
Right, but it does direct him to the painting.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe in that sense, that him noticing the cameras, that there is a camera, and having to check all the tapes is how he begins to recognize there's something different between modern day and what shows up on the film. Yeah.
The trash monster guy, the actual man doing the killings, what did you think of him?
He reminded me of Lurch from the Addams Family.
Yeah.
He was a little odd though too. Like and Solomon Grundy was the one I kept thinking of too. Big zombie ripping arms off and doing things, but he had I don't remember if he had a smile on his face or he does something when he's putting the woman in the trash compactor that just shows like an enthusiasm for it. Like he's pushing her in and propping it up, and there's something that showed like almost a hint of personality and pleasure.
He did seem to smile when he was at the top of the stairs.
Yeah. And when she runs to the door and the lightning flashes and all of a sudden he's there, he makes a little smirk.
Yeah. But
He was disgusting though.
Oh god, yeah, all the maggots on him and everything like that. He was filth, and I kind of like the flies that are flying around him. The way that he just nonchalantly gets into the trash van straight after the first killing. It's just so weird and yet so wonderful that they've done that.
So he takes the arms from the first victim.
Yeah. He
takes big chunks of the body, like a bag, and he's dragging a body when in the studio. Is that murder ever discovered in the episode?
In the studio?
Where the art sales people.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's ever we don't ever have the police involved in that.
I don't remember anything up there at all. I think that was just for our privilege to see that.
But he takes pieces of their body. Does he take a piece of everyone's body?
I think no. Do you remember the guy? The last killing.
Yeah.
I don't think he took any of him.
And that Scully says there's only one way in, and he's gone. So that goes back to that whole manifesting out of nowhere kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a neat idea, like you said, like this this cult kind of character that we have.
I think it's a brilliant idea. I remember when we first started this, I wanted a Slender Man thing. Didn't have any clue of what was turning up. This is kind of it. It's not quite what I wanted, but God, I flipping love this episode. I think this, out of the 4 at the moment, it could be the one. I think it's just last week that it was good, but it wasn't my kind of episode. So I think this might be my favourite one so far.
No, again, we have a 4th crime. They might know who did it, but it's the offender is still on the loose. The mother who was bearing all the alien DNA children.
Yeah.
She gets vaporized. There's no consequence. Nobody's held accountable. We have, the twins, the Wonder Twins with their powers from Founder's Mutation. They're on the run. The Were-Lizard is hibernating. He's out in the wild. And the Trashman and his artist are both out on the run.
Oh yeah, they're all still there to be done.
Yeah.
One thing I did like with the murder of the woman, it was once again you have this "you are responsible" kind of vibe running through, and we see her just she was making a coffee, she was eating yogurt and then putting it in the dishwasher to clean up, to then just throw out. Pretty much what the artist turned around and said, you are responsible, but you make all this rubbish and then you put it in the bin and then you forget about it and then it goes into the ground.
Right. Well, she says she shows up on Thanksgiving and works the soup kitchen, and that's her caring for the people. But other than that, she doesn't want them near the school in her town.
But then you see her making coffee with a disposable cup. And you think, okay, you're really not getting the idea. You've got a dishwasher there, so you can wash up stuff.
Yeah.
It's fine, but it's very... it's having a dig at our wasteful society that we have. Far more than what it was when the X-Files was previously on.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the 2 episodes that this title is supposed to be a reference to? I guess there's Home and Never Again, which were both by the same writer.
I think I am familiar with Home. I'll have to rewatch it again though. But
I don't know. Obviously, I don't know much about them other than I believe they're both Scully-centric and have her very pensive. One, I believe, was about the idea of being a mother, and the other was about the idea of being a woman.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I think this title was intentional and not necessarily like it's a trilogy of stories, but it's meant to be a connection of sorts.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There was a moment where I thought we were going to get Scully on a boat again. There was a season 2 episode which I've just watched. I can't remember the name of it, but she's been knocked out, put into a coma, and they're really worried about her passing away. And Scully sitting in the boat with the rope going towards the land, and they're trying to call her back in, but she's not responding to it. And in my opinion, it's not a great episode. It's just watching Scully in a boat. And I thought we were going to go down that route with Scully sitting there with her mum, waiting for her to either wake up or respond or anything like that. So yeah. I'm kind of glad that we didn't have that, but it's nice to be reminded of that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah. What did you think about? I'll call it the division of labor. So this is another episode where we had them working separate more than together.
Yep.
Did you feel it compared to like last episode? Did you feel that they kind of balanced each other out, or it felt like one was doing all the work and the other was dealing with issues and demons?
I like the balance in this one because if you are working with someone at work and they do have a tragedy that happens, you just turn around and say, no, you go. Don't worry about it. I'll cover you.
Right.
And I've had that done to me, and I've done that to my friends as well. And I've been in that situation, so that's fine. I've got no problems in that. And I thought it balanced out really well. And then for Scully, once her mother had passed, for her to suddenly very abruptly turn around and say, no, I need to work. I need to get back to work. I thought it was a really good transition of, okay, fine, she's had all this, but you can tell by her reaction, she just wanted to get into work and lose herself in her work. And so it was a really good, okay, right, we got the gang back together, bang, let's go off and find this monster. I thought it worked really well.
Right, and she's appropriately not ready for it either. She goes back too soon.
Yeah, doesn't everyone though?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, how long have we got left? We've got 8 minutes left.
All right.
Anything you didn't like?
No, it was good. It was a entertaining episode. It was really, the only part was I didn't care for the characters as much. I just, they weren't a likable group. Where I thought last week, silliness aside, I liked all the characters. It was just a fun. You rooted for everybody.
Yeah.
How about you?
Anything I didn't like? A second time round, no, I thought it was alright. Anything I didn't like? Did you see the bit where they walked in through the door and their torches crossed and made the X from the X-Files? You didn't? Oh, there's an overhead shot when they're going down into the artist's cavern. They open a door and they have an overhead shot, and the torch beams cross over and makes an X. I've got a picture of it, so I will show you it later on.
All right.
But I liked it, but it was a bit of a smack in the face to say, yeah, we're the X-Files. Hello.
Yeah.
It was a bit of an obvious thing. But then again, it kind of worked. It took you out of the darkness of that thing. Also, you had a little quip where Mulder turns around to Scully and says, it's like the old days. I'm not going to chase him up the stairs and stuff like that. Yeah. And she says, no, what? In the olden days, I was doing that, and I had 3-inch heels on.
Yeah.
I like the humour that was put in there. It wasn't too much. It was quite subtle, and it wasn't hanging over your head as much as some episodes do.
Yeah, I thought last week felt like almost a self-parody.
Yeah. And
this just felt like a little bit of snarkiness and wit. And really, the other part, sort of related to what you said, is I thought in the final murder, there was no hustle at all. I mean, they're meant to be hearing the guy yelling down the hallway, and the three of them were just plodding along with their flashlights and walking around, and there's no hustle.
Yeah, so
they didn't go running down the hall trying to stop the murder.
No, that's true. But like you said, that we possibly could have this monster on the loose, and yet they find the dead body. He's clearly ripped in two because he's still got his phone in one hand and his other hand is on the other side of the screen.
Yeah,
and yet they. The way that they solve it is to put a smiley face onto the monster, or onto his art creation, and then it's left.
Yeah, not
broken down or anything. It's just left.
Well, it's left by the artist, right? They didn't go back.
No, it's true.
So I don't know. Well, maybe that's just a statue though. Like that's kind of we're seeing the creature appear wherever it wants to, but maybe it's a manifestation of that sculpture and the spirit that was in it. So maybe after the artist spoke to Scully and Mulder, he meditated and tried to give it a happier personality, be a different type of champion of the homeless.
Well, yeah, he's made this sculpture. I would imagine that he's made it, and he's got the plaster over his nose, and he's the plaster man or the trash man or however you want to describe him in his bin bags. And then he goes around and graffitis it like Banksy all over the place. and so that the soul of the art that he's created in his cavern is plastered around the city in his paintings. And so I can get that. But then again, would you have 3 or 4 monsters knocking around? I don't know. Hopefully just one.
Yeah, I think it's meant to just be the one.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere near a Banksy picture if I ever see one. Just in case a little girl with a balloon tries to murder me at some point. I don't really fancy that. Or a policeman pepper sprays me in the face. I don't know.
Well, it's meant to be implied that it's been killing for a while. Like that it wasn't just that first murder, because the one homeless person said the Band-Aid man knows, and the artist even says, "Yeah, I made the sculpture and something went wrong. It's got a violence that it wasn't meant to. Like he knew for more than a couple days that it had been like that."
Yeah, definitely. Right, how long have we got? We got 3 minutes left.
Right.
Shall we dive on to when my IMDb page works? It's not going to work now, is it? Should we dive on to see what's on next episode?
Sure.
Okay, it's called Babylon, and IMDb has decided not to work for me at the moment. Have you got anything there on Babylon on your side?
No, but if I remember from our conversation last week, that we will probably be getting back into a little bit of mythology for the last 2 episodes.
Here we go. Oh no, that's the actual plot. The episode opens in Texas with a seemingly distant young Islamic man preparing to meet his friend. The two meet, then blow themselves up in an art gallery. However, the young bomber survives, but in a coma. Meanwhile, the bombers plan another attack. Okay. Very up-to-date episode again, as we've come to expect. Looking forward to it.
Yep.
And then there will only be one left.
I know.
Oh, man. And then it's over. And then they'll get another run of a season, hopefully.
Hopefully. Hasn't been extended yet, but I've heard that Fox is willing to consider it.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to
see
it.
What happens. The next 2 episodes, see who's still alive, who's still involved.
Definitely.
Where they go.
Okay. Last minute, would you like to plug anything before we leave these wonderful people on Mixlr and on Rogue 2?
Just again, the old episodes. I mean, they're out there for people's enjoyment. Hopefully, they'll check some of the things out. Let us know what they find and Apotheosis of Bombast, and if there's anything that they'd like us to revisit again on a future date. How about you?
Me. Okay. I would like some reviews in iTunes, if that's at all possible, please, guys. We have had lovely iTunes reviews. Thank you to everyone who has done that. It really does help us climb up a mystery ladder that we can't see, but it is there. So thank you very much to everyone that's done that. Thank you to the people that have donated on Patreon as well, which is going to be keeping the doors open for everyone to enjoy these wonderful podcasts from now on. So thank you very much. And head over to rogue2.com for all the details of everything that I've just spoken about there. Everything is collected there for your consumption, I suppose.
Yes.
Right. So until next week, I suppose we'll leave everyone to it, and we'll see you in Babylon.
Yes. Thank you for listening, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.